Hey guys, what's going on? It's FTJ Gaming. Made this video Sunday. Um, Decided to kind of show everyone what I discovered, which I think is the final conclusive answer as to what the unsolvable Easter egg or impossible Easter egg is. It kind of all happened by accident, so it's kind of, for me, it closes the book on searching. I mean, there's not much, so I'll give a really quick recap. I kind of decided to come back to Shadows of Evil. I somehow am still able to get out the map and stuff like that. So I came back to, I guess this is Footlight, right? I wanted to look around because I know with the laundry ticket, the date November 6th was really important. So I was like, let me look at some of these posters and get some ideas. So I was just looking around, which it really doesn't have much to do with anything. I'm just kind of giving you almost a play-by-play so you can kind of almost get the same emotions that I got when I figured, like, oh, one thing's leading to another, one thing's leading to the next thing. So let me just kind of get started. So I was just, like most people do, poking around, trying to see what's what. So I came over here, and what looked very suspicious to me, and that's the thing with trying to figure this stuff out, and this is why I like it a lot better than doing ciphers and stuff like that. It's because it's like it's presented in front of you. It's up to you now to put two and two together. So I came over that barrier. What looked really suspicious to me was like this O in the store. I noticed like there's a couple O's in shops. So I thought maybe you'd like shoot the circles. So then I'm like, let me just follow it around. And this is exactly I'm doing the way I figured it out. So you're getting the same emotions as how I got it. So you'll see how everything came together. So I just kind of came around and was like, oh, what's this over here? This room by itself. So I came here, and then I was like, oh, what's this stuff? Have I seen any of these posters before? What to try to figure it is. And so I came to this. For some reason, this looked a little bit suspicious to me. So what I started to do, I went on to Google and I started with the right poster. It said Souter versus Saunders. So I Googled solder. It came up like some scientific equation. And then I figured searched Sanders, and nothing really came about. I kind of said to myself, I'm like, well, that almost looks like an equation, like Sounders divided by Saunders. So, I mean, it might not, it's going to sound silly, but it's just how your brain has to work. You have to, like, look at one thing, and if that doesn't work, you look at it from another angle, then you look at it from another angle until, it kind of makes sense, because nobody's going to guess that on the first try. So, what I did, and I'll show you, I gotta switch screens now. Is I found like Sauter's Brown equation, which really had nothing to do with it. It was a couple of scientific things. So then I went over to to this poster. I said, well, if these are equations, I said, well, maybe Nesbit is an equation, maybe Sanders is an equation. I was taking the whole different like scientific route. I'm like, well, maybe this is explain the map scientifically. So what I did, and I just kind of searched a couple things. So what I did, I searched Nesbit equation, and this is literally how I figured it out. So I came and I searched Nesbit equation, and I came up into this. So then this says it's a Nesbit is a children's well, she wrote children's book, but then she got into the horror genre. So what made it link up on Google is because there was a In the Dark for the Equation Chiller series. So I don't know if Treyarch is smart enough, or clever enough to put that, like, maybe you'll find the soldered equation and then you'll search Nesbit equation and it'll come up to this. So this is gonna sound way roundabout, but like I said, nobody's gonna walk into this room and figure everything out in like 2 seconds. You have to kind of do a lot of deduction, try and figure out if that doesn't mean that, well, what else could it mean? So I searched Nesbit and I came across and if you see the title on the screen now, it says In the Dark. So I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. Nesbit's poster is in the dark, and this one isn't. So I don't know if the equation stuff has anything to do with it. So I started reading about it, and I said, wow, that's so clever the way they did it, because Nesbit wrote the book, and her poster is in the dark. It's in the left, and it's in the dark, while the boxing one on the right is in the light. So I started reading it, and it says, she was known for some children's stuff, but then in 1988, Hugh Lamb edited the In the Dark for the Equation Chiller series, and now has added further stories for the experience. So I kind of read a little bit more about it. Next thing I did, I went onto YouTube and I kind of searched a couple of things. I did find In the Dark, which if you search it, it's here. It's just one story. So then the next thing I did, I said, well, there's not much on YouTube, so let me go to Amazon. So I searched Amazon, and I am a Prime member because of Madden football, so it's kind of like helped me out. So I think I got maybe a cheaper price. So I looked at these, and the one that's this one, this one is a new one that hasn't even been released yet. So that one, it says coming February 6, 2018, A Tale of Terror by E. Nesbit. So then I bought, I think, this one up here, and what the In the Dark book series or story series is everything in Shadows of Evil in the story mode, if that makes any sense. So and I'll bring up the thing and I'll start reading some of the excerpts. I did highlight some things, but you have to keep in mind there's like maybe 12 stories. So one, Jason Blundell said it's going to be spread around different arenas. Literally, and this is what I'm calling it, this is like the Bible of Shadows of Evil. Every detail in Shadows of Evil are within these stories. And I don't know why. I guess he just thought we wouldn't solve it because it's an old... actually, I should probably show that. But you can do that on your own. It's an old, I think, 19 or 1800s book that was written. So you might... And it's English. It's maybe maybe more Americans play. I don't know. Maybe why he thought it wouldn't be solved. Maybe people don't read. I don't know exactly, but I'm gonna read some of the stories, and it's like I said, it's on Amazon. I think I paid the $7 price. If you want to read up about it, you're not gonna probably find too much on Wikipedia. I don't think you might find too much, so you don't have to, but you might have to, or if you want and you want to read more about it and read everything in detail that's in Shadows of Evil. So let me just go to some of the stories that I kind of plucked and highlighted a couple of things. Like I said, there's 12 stories. It's not like every story is every character's story. I guess legally they're not allowed to do that. So it's kind of like he plucked things from every little story and put it in there in every different storyline. I just want to kind of go over some of the titles in the book, and you might kind of start seeing it, and it's gonna be kind of cool. Some people might think this is kind of anticlimactic. Maybe some people wanted like an end game, something. And there is a lot in here, and I apologize because I've been reading it since like 11 o'clock last night, and it's 11 o'clock a.m. Sunday morning. I just kind of got really into it, started reading bits and pieces of it. So what I wanted to do first, and I probably should have did this a little bit better. It's just kind of go over some of the stories and the title of them. They're all like zombie stories, death, ghost. There is one story that explains, I think, the curse. Like some guy cursed or killed someone, so he was cursed. There is a lot of that in here. But I probably should not have done it this way, so everybody's going to probably get all upset now. But if you're interested, this is I guess, the book that wrote Shadows of Evil. And there is a lot, as you can see. You know what? I'm such an idiot. Let me just go to the beginning. It's funny. Like I always say, you can figure something out really complicated, but some of the most common sense stuff, like let me just kind of see if I can go back a little bit more. This is kind of like a biography of hers. So some of the titles, I'm going to skim through it real quick, is Man-Sized Marble, Uncle Abraham's Romance. There is a story of, I mean, they're all intertwined, so I don't think they can legally, like I said, just copy one story and make it a character, copy another story and make it a character. In here, while I was reading, is the story. I know there's one with the magician. There's one about, and the names are funny. Like one character's name might be Vincent. One character's name might be Jack. So that's how Treyarch created with Jack Vincent as one of the characters. There's a girl whose name is Rose. And I think that's the thing, how they got the names. They just kind of like glued it together. They can't just steal one character. So what they did is kind of take like bits and pieces and kind of pasted it together to make their own little characters and stuff like that. There's so much. I wish I could highlight everything, but you're gonna have to trust me. If you want to spend the $7 and read all those stories, or if you're just happy knowing that, you know, the unsolvable Easter egg is or was, to find out that all this was from a book, it's gonna explain why we do the plants. There's a story about a guy who was sick, and he went to the doctor. The doctor has to harvest plant fluid to make him better. It does explain why there's purple, but I'm just showing you some of the titles. While I'm going, I guess I will kind of show you what I highlighted. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of story, but they plucked a couple things out of those stories. So but I didn't read it exactly word for word. It's so much information. So this is the one that I kind of mentioned to Glitching Queen, that I kind of highlighted. I leaned over, and there was a girl, and this is what kind of like sold me from the beginning. He wasn't sure if it was a rat or a rabbit, and a flash of pink struck at my eyes. A lady in pink dress was sitting. So the reason, and I can't go through every single thing, but this is a lady in pink, and the rat and the rabbit. If you are very well, I can get out of this now because this is how I figure out the title of it. If you go back to the Ruby Rabbit, this is gonna be annoying. I know this isn't like a mod, but it's just that I was able to get out the map. If you go to the Ruby Rabbit, oops, not that way. And I'm gonna kind of maybe end this kind of short. Ruby Rabbit is where, oh, this one over here, right? Canal, is that the Ruby Rabbit? This thing blinks, the letters disappear. This is probably gonna get annoying to people. And the word rat is left, while Ruby, the bees, and the eye blink out. So that's how I kind of like, wow, that's pretty clever how they would do that. Like, is it like a rat or a rabbit? So if you play the game, you will notice, and that's what I told Glitching Queen, it's funny because a lot of stuff that was blinking was hints towards different things. So this is what kind of sold me from the beginning, because I think that is like one of the first stories. It's like it blinks, like some of the letters, turn off and blink and flutter, and it leaves the word rat. So that was one thing that kind of sold me on it from the beginning. And how do I do this now? So that was one story. I'm gonna try and just, I mean, there's a lot. You're gonna have to read it, and don't think like if you read one story, you might only get like 3 or 4 little Easter eggs out of the story if you decide to go on Amazon and buy it. This one, the 3 drug, explains why this guy was sick. He goes into the doctor. The doctor has to like harvest these plants to get the antidote to make him better. And it reminded me about the final like Easter egg when you have to like keep cleansing yourself or you're gonna die. I did kind of highlight some stuff, but there's a lot to go through. And this is another thing that sold me that I highlighted. I mean, there's a lot, but this is another thing. He was in pain, and he saw the world fade and go in a haze of vivid violet. And it does tell you about how I thought I maybe highlighted that part, but in this, it's like the plants are like a drug that he has to like harvest. And I'm trying to figure out if... Yeah, so this is the other part that I had. A short midnight was waning, the shiver dawn rustled weeds of the plant whose leaves were like red, misshaped hearts. And then yeah, I don't know if it's exactly that part, but it does tell you how he gets the stuff from the plant. But I'm gonna kind of brush through these really quickly. If you want me to maybe post more stuff or make a second video, I do want to find the other one, and I'll end it there, that sold me also. And the story is, there's one with the magician, why there's a dead rabbit in the cage because he used to do experiments on them. I think In the Dark is the one where the guy killed his friend and then he got cursed. I don't know. I don't want to go into that. I want to just show you the stuff that, for me, was the most amazing stuff. So this is going to be a little bit longer of a video than I want to do. Okay, so this one talks about black magic. I know that comes up with the magician a lot. I think that's on a post or something with black magic. I'm not sure exactly, but I did highlight some more important stuff that I wanted to kind of point out. Yeah, so this is the one about the magician that I took about Nero. You don't understand, he kept saying, stemming the flood of her rhetoric plead. Spencer Wells alone had found the wonderful things just with experiments on rabbits. So he used to inject that white rabbit was not compounded of the drugs that he had intended to use. But the story is all in there. But there would be like such a long video, and it takes so long to upload these that it would take forever. You just have to kind of, if you want to spend the $7, or go to your local library and see if they have a copy of the book. And it talks about magic here again. One last thing that I found to be really important. And then it talks about he's like a biologist, a chemist, a magician, so that stuff. And if you see the titles, it's and here's another one, The Shadow, talks about shadows. I guess maybe that's where I said they piece maybe like Shadows of Evil together. I don't know exactly. The Detective, that might be like another little Easter egg there. I'm not unfortunately going to go through everything. The Powers of Darkness. This one says she was an agitating blonde. This is one where her name was Rose, and you know, Jessica Rose. Unless I'm wrong, then I'm gonna sound like an idiot. So her name was Rose, and that was the description. Blonde hair, large violet blue eyes, and it says down here her name was Rose. Beautiful Rose. And Vincent is a character in another story. Another character's name is Jack, so I'm thinking they just pieced Jack Vincent together. So this character's name is Jack here. And this is the one that sold me, and then I'm like, I'm gonna end the video here. And this is kind of like what I thought was like, alright, there's everything in Shadows of Evil in here. It's pieced through all these stories, so you're gonna have to trust me. But this is one that kind of sold me even more. It says he led the way down some clumsy steps to the cellar, which the genius of a great artist had transformed into the exact semblance of the old catacombs at Rome. The same rough hewing of rock, the same sacred tokens engraved strongly and simply, and among the arches of these subterranean burrows, the life of the early Christians, their sacraments, their joys, their sorrows, all expressed in groups of waxworks. So that kind of reminded me of when we go underground and do the rituals. And there is everything in here in the whole Shadows of Evil, and that's why, like I said, he put that it's like in the different arenas. There's literally, and you have to like, don't think like you're gonna if you end up buying it, you're gonna read the whole thing in like, you know, 15 minutes. I read most of it in like 4 hours last night, and I'm like, I wish I was able to highlight it. I was just so like, you know, thrilled and so into reading it, and I should have highlighted while I was going. But there is a lot of things. It's a story also about. I know in Shadows of Evil the phone rings, and I think as Laurie says that she forged a letter, or forged a marriage, so the marriage is annulled, I think, or something like that. That's in here also. He stabs his wife in the chest. She dies, but then after that, and it's in here, but I think it's the same exact storyline, but it tells how I think he killed his wife for some reason, but then found out that she forged the marriage papers, so he didn't have to kill her at all. But I'm gonna end it here. There is a lot, unless I can find some. Well, that's probably pretty much it. And these are the titles again. It says that she actually wrote for Grimm's Tales too. Some of her stories are in there. But I mean, this is pretty much it. This is what I kind of like, you know, close the deal for me as far as the impossible Easter egg, because this book, like I said, is like a Bible, and it says it has everything in there. It's not in like one story, it's just spread out. I think the Green Lantern, it explains why the doc has that Green Lantern. I think, like I said, they just pieced everything together. But anyways, let me know what you think. This is kind of it for me. I'll probably read a little bit more about it, maybe do a second video and try and pluck out more stuff if people don't want to pay the money. But I mean, that's pretty much it. Or you can go into the dark and read that. I don't think you'll find much more. But you know, I'm just gonna end it here. I mean, that was pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to let you guys know about. But I mean, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later.